What's up, guys? Welcome back to Mike Eat Yourself, and this week we're gonna do a lot of product review. Actually, we got to play a little catch up where we've done some things that you all saw, and I want to give you some feedback on those products. I added a couple of things that was not video content, but I thought it'd be a great idea to share kind of my experience so far with that product, so that way if you're of interest or interested in it, then maybe it's something that might help you be better informed if you're looking to make that purchase. So enough said, let's jump right into it. So for our first product, this is actually a re-review because we already did the review on this, and not too long after I did the review, I ran into a problem. So what am I talking about? What's missing? My Benlari Backrest. So here's the backrest, and this is the quick release one where you just kind of squeeze the two tabs and that lets you pull it, pull it out or put it back in, whatever, and you could quickly adjust. It worked great. I like this backrest. Although I ran into a problem, and it might be because I am the bagger version of human beings, right? I'm a little bit bigger guy. So what I ran into is the tabs actually failed on me. So here are the actual tabs here, and in my specific one, they are held on by a single weld point. So you would think kind of, you would have weld all the way around, or at least on the front and the back. And what it is it's like it's grooved, and there's like a point here, but it just kind of sat in there. So I don't know if I just got just one bad one or what the deal is, but I did reach out to the guys at Benlari to make sure that they were aware of it, because if maybe it was a part of quality control or something that got out that shouldn't have, I wanted them to be aware of it, right? They were really good to us. They've been good to us. They provided this, so this was of no cost to me, but important that I identify if there is a flaw in something, right? So I would say if you have this, double check it just in case. Make sure that yours isn't being held on with just a single weld point, and if it is and yours is still good to go, then I would recommend possibly getting it tack welded on the other side, just kind of hoping strengthen that up. And if yours isn't, I'd love to hear, share it with me, let me know that you checked yours, because that could just mean that I got a manufacturer defect. It happens, right? All companies run into it, not a big deal. So anyhow, I did try to make some attempts to repair it myself, because that's just who I am. And I used JB Weld 2-part, and that did not work out. That failed pretty quickly. I also tried some Gorilla Glue, kind of, it's like that clay or whatever that you have to knead, another type of weld product, and that also failed. So other than making a complete mess, and I had to clean it up a couple of times, it really didn't do anything. So unfortunately, I think this is, unless I can find somebody who can weld this for me, this is a done deal. But I wanted to share that input with you. Like I said, this was a sponsored product, and it doesn't matter if it's sponsored or not. I'm going to give you the honest truth. I think I probably just got a defect, unfortunately. But take a look at yours. Make sure yours is good to go. For our next product, we're going to be talking about the Long Ride Shield. This is the 10-inch Stingray. And when you look at their site, it's kind of hard to tell like which is the Stingray and which is the Thresher, I think is the other name of it. And what you need to do is kind of look at this part of it, and the Thresher, I believe, is kind of more of a straight shot, where this has got a little bit of a curve to it. So if you're trying to figure out what's the difference, that's what I could figure out so far. But I went from the stock, I think it's an 8-inch windshield, to this 10-inch, and it did a great job of helping with the buffeting. But the problem that I'm having right now, or not the problem, but I just want less wind on me, because you can always open up your ports to let that wind through if that's what you want. You don't need it directly in the face. So I'm actually going with a 14-inch, and once we get that installed and we get some miles on it, I'll share that with you. But for the price, the Long Ride Shields are great. Memphis Shades, I think, is also really great priced. And the quality's been great. I have zero problems with it, no scratching. It's still clear. It sits out in the sun a ton, so durability is awesome, right? And for a price, you can't beat it. All right, so here is a product I did not do the installation video on, but I've been using it and it works really good. I was a bit skeptical of it just because of its design, but it does what it needs to do, and that is hold my cell phone. So this is from the Law-Abiding Biker. If you don't know, he also has a channel. Check his channel out, but he also has a brick and mortar store and you can order online. And they've got a ton of stuff, right? They sell some really great products, but this one is his. And in the process of reviewing cell phone holders, I was looking at all kinds of different brands to include the Quad Lock. And what I didn't care for about the Quad Lock, I think it's probably a great design, but I like a very thin case, and Quad Lock did not offer that for me. You had to get their special case, so that's the other problem, is you have to use theirs, right? So you're kind of locked in. Reminds me of like the old days of Apple when iPhone changed to everything proprietary to kind of, you know, I don't know if that was to just drum up more business for themselves or whatever, but I like things that are universal. And this one does just that. So it's spring loaded. It's got, I think they said like 17 foot-pounds of pressure, but you put your phone in there and it's not going anywhere. I've ridden around, no problems. The other thing I like is you have the, like the ball there, so that's articulating and allows you to kind of move up, move down. So regardless of the crazy angle that you have your bars, you can get this thing to point your phone in the right direction, which is another thing that, you know, with the this is easy to adjust. I could just move it, versus the Quad Lock, you have to actually loosen a screw, move it around, tighten the screw. So not that it's not doable, it's just extra steps, right? So I think this was maybe 70 bucks. So it is a little bit pricier, definitely pricier than the stuff you see on Amazon, but well worth the money. And if you look, he uses these on his bikes. He goes out riding all the time. And I figure if a guy is willing to stand behind his product by showing his videos of him using it, then I'm on board. All right, guys, so another product, Handlebars. Now, if you watched the video, I did an installation of some hill country cycles handlebars that were 14-inch apes, and I love the design of them. They were chromed. I had a whole fiasco with that, and that was on me. I wasn't paying attention as far as the mounting portion of the bars, and later found out that I could have probably resolved my problem much easier and definitely much cheaper had I just gotten adapters. So if you don't know, if you have the smaller bar clamp and you buy bars, or I'm sorry, if you have the bigger bar clamp and you buy bars that are smaller, you can get adapters that'll fit in there. There's basically, it's like a shim or whatever that you can put in place. It's super cheap, and it'll save you the cost of shipping bars back, because I will tell you, shipping bars through USPS is not cheap at all. So anyhow, after getting the bars back and spending way more money than I really want to admit, I ended up finding out that the bars didn't work out for me. And what I failed to measure, so I went from my 16-inch meat hooks that I have now down to some 14-inch, and I thought that by lowering, you know, the height of my hands down, I would feel much better. And I was experiencing a lot of discomfort, and I couldn't figure out why, because it only made sense that I went lower, so why would I? And later what I found out is the width of the bars was far larger. I want to say that, you know, they had my arms spread apart, you know, pretty good. So if you're shopping for bars, the lesson learned here is don't only just pay attention to the clamp mount, the height, but also look at the width. You want to check that out, because it is unusually uncomfortable to have your arms so far apart. It was definitely a different feeling. I didn't like it. I didn't have them on for very long, so unfortunately I had to go back to my stock bars, and you know what that means, right? Running the cables through everything, and that's a ton of fun. So make sure you learn from me, from my mistakes. height, width, bar clamp. A bit of a fun one. Who doesn't love you some LEDs? So these are the under saddlebag. I forget the name of the brand. It's like HD Bubs or something like that. Of course, they're imports, but they're decently priced, and so far so good. I love how they look. They do a great job of lighting up things around you, especially at night. They are brakes as well. They'll do turn signal, so it does a great job. I love having the extra light, especially behind me, because people just don't see you. Now for the last thing on the Road Glide, I also had gone to the chrome levers when I went to the chrome handlebars, and I was wondering how good these things were going to be, because they were like 20 bucks or something like that, maybe 25 max. And they were great. They look awesome. I have zero problems fitment wise with them, anything like that. I like them so much I had went out and bought a set for the Road King. We'll take a quick look at those, but great set of chrome levers if you're looking for just chrome levers and you don't want to spend a bajillion dollars. Now I will say that given the opportunity, I will buy myself an adjustable clutch lever for my Road Glide. As you know, if you're running hydraulic clutch, the friction zone is so far out there that it's kind of, I don't know, abnormal, right, when you try to use it. And bouncing between the 07 Road King, which is a clutch with a cable on it, versus the clutch hydraulic, it kind of goofs you up. Like you'll go and, you know, you'll go from having an immediate friction zone to having to let it go all the way, and you just, yeah, it sucks. So anyhow, if I get that opportunity, I'll definitely do that. But if you're fine with your levers or whatever, and you just want some chrome ones, these are a knockout, man. So let's go look at these other products that are specific to the Road King. All right, so as I mentioned, I went with the same chrome levers for the Road King. Love them. They look great. They're enduring the sun very well. So that's another thing. We'll have to give it more time. I mean, who knows? Maybe after a year they start to pit or something. I'm not sure. I also want to call out these mirrors. So I'm going to put links in the description to all of these different products. So that way, if you're interested, you like them, you can go out and get them. So for my mirrors, I used to have mirrors that were inverted, and I still kept running into the problem of looking at my armpit as I'm driving down the road. So it's not what I want to do. So I was looking for some mirrors that I could put up on top, but went low profile, and I bought some really low profile ones, like so low that I was hitting my knuckles every time I try to grab my brake or my clutch. So that's too low, obviously, right? So scoured, and on eBay, I found these mirrors that sit nice and low profile, and they've got a nice field of view. These things are great. I like them a lot. They look great. I'm gonna buy another set for the Road Glide because they're just that great. Like I said, they sit nice and low, so you don't look like a bug, right, with your antenna up. And you keep a good field of view. You don't end up with like those super duper tiny mirrors that are there to be legal but don't really provide you with a good view behind you, and I like to be able to see. So anyhow, I'll throw these on. These were also pretty cheap, 30-ish bucks maybe. I don't know, I could be off. And keep in mind, costs are going up due to the economic situation. So if I'm off by some, 10 bucks or whatever, you know why. Anyhow, so that is another win as far as the product goes. Another product that I had bought, and I just went ahead and bought it. I mean, there's not really an installation video to it because you just swap out your oil stick, and that is, I went with the Harley Davidson digital oil stick. And the reason is because, of course, on a Road King, you don't have any gauges that tell you what your oil temp is or any of that stuff. And what I like about this one is it's digital, it lights up, it tells you what your temperature is. Now the bike is cold, so it's just saying cold oil, so it's letting me know up front that the temperature is probably not going to be where it needs to be. It says it's at 80 degrees. I went out on a ride a good distance, came back and I was sitting at about 257 degrees as far as my old temperature goes. Now, Harley Davidson states that your engine operating temperature should be 230 degrees. So I was up and over. I am in California. It is a little bit hotter, and I may just need to switch up the oil that I'm running from, I forget what's in here today, but I'll probably need to bump it up to the 50 weight oil, straight 50, because that's what's called out for by the manual if you operate in ambient temperatures that are typically greater than, I want to say it's like 80 degrees or 70 degrees, something like that. Average temperature in San Diego is 77 degrees, so I'm right in there. It's a little bit thicker. It will give you a little bit of a hard cold start sometimes, but it'll help reduce the temperature of your engine, which is what you want to have optimal performance. So I don't recommend buying the Harley brand one. I get points because of credit card and all that stuff, so that's what I use to purchase this. If you're going to do straight bucks, I would say look through Amazon, look through eBay. I'm sure they make an aftermarket brand version of this that is probably far cheaper than this thing. Yeah, this is definitely overly priced. I also did a video on adding baffles to the fishtails, and if you remember, I had actually add the baffles to the front part of this because these aren't just tips, they're solid pipe all the way through. And yeah, so I needed something to take the edge off because, you know, as much as I love the loud sound, actually two things. So one, it's super loud. I'm in a very quiet neighborhood and I appreciate my neighbors, so I don't want to disrespect them. The other thing is, quite frankly, you know what? I don't need the extra noise on the long ride. It kind of drones on after a while. As cool as it sounds, and I 100% don't disagree with anybody who wants to make their bike louder because it sounds cool as hell. But for me, I needed to just tone it down a little bit. So the baffles I got have been doing a great job. They are amazingly quiet, but still give it a good sound. So in the link, or in the description, you'll see that link. On the ones I bought, they're specific, well, no, they're not specific, based on the ID of the fishtail that I had. That's what I purchased on. So just, you know, if you're wondering how I figured out which ones I needed, check out my original video. But essentially you want to measure the inner dimension or inner diameter of your pipe, and that's the OD that you want for your baffle. So that way it'll slide in, it'll be nice and snug, or very close to it, and it's not going to just rattle around on you. So were the baffles worth it? 110%, and they were decently priced. The last thing I want to cover with you guys is the DOT Airline. So this is the Department of Transportation kind of signed off or certified or whatever the hell they call it. But it's their certified, it's certified airline, right? So they've got sign off, it's been inspected, it meets the requirements or whatever it is. Anyhow, the problem that I was having, of course, was a lot of leaks with my air ride. And since switching out to the DOT approved airline, I've had zero problems. And so that tells me a lot with the line that I was buying, which was very cheap line off of Amazon. And it would get really stiff after a while, probably because of the heat, and it would start to fail. Since switching to this version, I haven't had any problems. So super appreciative of learning that you get the certified stuff and it works better. It works so good that I went ahead and decided to go back to Monroe air shocks on my Road Glide. Now, I didn't do the compressor, I didn't do all that extra stuff. I just straight up did air shocks and air them up to, like, I don't know, I think it's 70 psi. I get a great ride out of it, way better than the stock ride. And yeah, you know what, I knocked them at first. I got a bad one and it just led a little bit of a bad taste in my mouth. And since, you know, rebuying them and putting them on the Road King, I've been one back over. I really enjoy the ride. It feels great. You can adjust it, right? So if you want a stiff ride, you can get a stiff ride. If you want to make it a nice soft ride, you can make it a nice soft ride. It's nice having that flexibility. So air shocks, same ones, the Monroes that are made for Corvettes on the Road Glide. no problems. Got that dot approved Airline, so winning. All right, guys, so that's going to be a wrap for this video. Like I said, we covered a ton of products. I just wanted to give you guys my feedback on these different products. They've been great. Like I said, the Benlari Backrest, maybe it's because one too many tacos, I don't know, man, but I snapped those things. They were only held on by a single weld point, so maybe it's a combination of things, or it could just be simply a manufacturer defect that I got a bad set or a bad backrest. But I recommend, if you do have that same backrest, take a quick look. If it's, you know, there, are they cracking? If you're a lighter person, then maybe you don't have to worry about it or whatever. But if you're a bigger guy like me, then you definitely want to have that extra added security of having, at minimum, a weld point in the front and the back. If you can get it all the way around, cool beans, right? Yeah, so anyhow, that was probably the only takeaway, or, you know, I guess bad experience, if you want to call it that. I don't think that I've got their other backrest, so I've had zero problems with that one. I honestly believe I just got a manufacturing defect. So anyhow, at the end of the day, whenever you get your products, especially metal that has multiple pieces kind of attached, check your welds. You want to look at that stuff anyways, just in case. You want to make sure that whatever it is you're putting on your bike, you're going to be safe while you do it. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you felt like there was some value there for you, hit that thumbs up. If you want to be a member of my community, I'd love to have you as a subscriber. Provide feedback, share your experiences with things. If you've seen something done better, or you have a suggestion like, hey, maybe you should try this method versus that method, definitely comment below on each of the videos. Really like to hear you guys' feedback. It's really about a bunch of people just helping out other bikers, right? That's just what this is all about. So until that video does post, I hope to see you in the wing.